In this lesson, we'll take a deeper look into the poly bridge node while we continue to build out the wheel assembly for our car. So we're picking up right where we left off from the previous lesson, and we've just built the bridge between the two sides of our wheel. And what we need to do is to change the number of divisions in that bridge. By default, Houdini has given us 10 divisions, and that's a little bit dense for this area of the model. So I'm just going to bring that down a little bit here, probably to something like 3 works well for me. That'll work pretty good for what we're going to do. Now I'm going to use those divisions to help shape how this wheel, or tire element rather, is actually going to look. So what we need to do, let's go ahead and look at our reference to get a little bit better idea here. We'll let it play so that it spins around a bit. Looks like what we have here is a little bit of angled sort of surface that dips in, and then we have a very flat edge that leads almost all the way back around to the back of the wheel. So let's go ahead and make those elements. Now to do this, I want to use the Edit tool. So basically what we're going to do is we're just going to select this edge loop. Again, we can use our Select tool here, make sure we're on edges. Hold down A on the keyboard, middle click on any loop there, and we'll get that particular edge loop. And I'm going to just move it around a little bit here. So we're going to grab the Move tool itself. It's the Scale tool. Sorry, I clicked on that. That's the top one here is the Move tool. Notice as soon as I do, Houdini automatically gives me the edit node that I need and adds it to my network in the correct spot. So I'm going to move that guy forward just a little bit here because the tire would not be quite that thick. It's only going to be about that thick perhaps, right in there somewhere. And let's do the same thing with this back one. Let's do A on the keyboard, click on that back ring there. And again, we'll push it back towards the back because the tire wouldn't have quite that much of lip before it hits the metal part of the rim. Okay, that's nice. So again, let's take a quick look at our reference material here. Oh, my reference video looks like it crashed. Give me just 1 sec. There we go. So what we need to do is kind of get an eyeball on this area right here where these spokes begin to connect with the back of the brake drum here. There's kind of a gap from this back edge. There's kind of a long distance that we have right here before we get to these spokes. So we need to create that space. And then we're going to have to look at where those spokes are going to connect. So let's go ahead and take a look back inside of Houdini here. Okay, so these 2 rings here of edges are going to define where our spokes connect. Right? So let's go ahead and move those away from wherever the brake drum is. So how do we see the brake drum again? Well, very simply, we just move our display flag down to the merge where we can see both elements. And here's our ring where our spokes are going to connect. So let's go ahead and move those 2 edges. So let's select both edge loops. Again, we're just going to use the middle mouse button and A. That will select that entire loop. We also want to select this entire loop. So we'll Shift A and click on it. We'll get both of those guys there. And, oh, looks like I also have this inner edge right there. Okay, hang on a second. Let's go back and put our display flag on our edit to make sure that we're getting clean edges here. We'll select our selection tool, make sure we're on edges. Hold down A, middle click. Hold down Shift to select that second edge loop. A and middle click. Now we've got both of those edge loops. We'll grab our Move tool and we'll just slide those forwards a little bit. Okay, awesome. All right, now let's look at the combination of the 2 together here. So we'll move down to the merge node. There we go. And now with the merge node selected, we can see this place in which the spokes are going to end up on this inside piece. All right. And we also can see where they're going to land on the brake drum. The thing is that we don't really have enough divisions around in this circle to isolate a landing position for those spokes. Now, if we take a look back at the reference footage, you'll see what I mean. We need to have a division or so around in here so we can pick the exact point at which that spoke is going to land. So let's go ahead and add in some edge loops. Now to do that, we're going to use the edge loop tool from the shelf. And it's a very easy tool. Again, we're just going to choose edge loop from the polygon shelf, which is in this first shelf here. So we'll choose edge loop. And as I hover my mouse over, you can see that it's giving me sort of an idea where those edge loops are going to be. So just sort of by hovering over, I haven't clicked at all, I'm just kind of getting a general feel. We'll make one right here. So when I'm ready to actually insert that division, I just click and it makes that division. Now I still have the edge loop tool, so I'm just going to put in another one, and we'll put that second one in somewhere about right here. Awesome. So now that we have those divisions in place, it's going to be very easy for us to sort of build the bridge that we want using the poly bridge tool to fill in these two gaps. So let's go ahead and make the gaps, or close that gap rather. So let's switch over to primitive selection mode with our selection tool, and let's pick at the beginning of our bridge. Now again, what we're going to be defining, if we look back at our reference footage, is this starting point right here of the spoke. We'll select all of these, and then we'll go back and we'll select the destination for all of them. So first we're going to select where we want to start. So we want to start with this one. We'll skip one, pick this one, skip one, pick this one, skip one, pick this one, skip one, pick this one. Follow that pattern all the way around. So we're just skipping one and then picking one. Okay. Excellent. So now that I've got my source selected, I can go ahead and click on the Poly Bridge tool. Now, Houdini is asking me to select the destination polygons. So to create that spike, I want a bridge to go from here over to this guy. So let's select all of these destination ones. Skip one, pick one, skip one, pick one. Follow that pattern all the way around the brake drum assembly here. Okay, so now we've got our destination chosen. We'll just hit enter to complete the procedure. And Houdini generates these tubes between the two. Now, at first, things aren't quite exactly the way that we want them to. There's a little bit of reversing and flipping going on here. But we can easily fix that with some of the tools in the Poly Bridge parameters view. So let's focus in on that right now. One of the first things that we want to look at is the fact that we got a curved spine shape with 10 divisions. Now the divisions basically just is how much resolution do you need there to be within that bridge. So for now, let's go ahead and leave it at, let's say 12. We'll start with that just for a random ballpark. And let's click on this reverse winding here. Okay, so basically what this does is it's Houdini figuring out which direction is the front side or the back side of the faces that we picked. So you can see here that it's now sort of pushing that poly bridge up and away and then turning and making the connection over here with the actual brake drum. Okay, if we uncheck reverse winding, its default guess was that its first move would be to start at this polygon, go under, make the twist, then try to come up and make the connection. So really we just needed to reverse it and say, no, don't go under first from the source. Reverse that and push up first from the source. So that's what the reverse winding allows us to do. So now we've got our spikes sort of in place. We kind of need to make some adjustments to how they are shaped. Now to do that, we're going to start looking at some of the more advanced tools inside of the Poly Bridge. Like we want to look here at the spine and the bridge for sure. And that's where we'll pick up at the beginning of the next lesson.